Toastmasters, guests, ladies and gentlemen. My speech is called the Swan Song, and as the name suggests, this is a thank you and goodbye speech. It'll be my last speech at Toastmasters, at least for a while. Oh no! I joined Toastmasters about 1.5 years ago with a very particular aim. It was to help me cope with the public speaking I knew I was going to have to do whilst I spent a year being president of the Bournemouth and District Law Society. And also a specific aim as well, which was to prepare for my big speech on the 8th of February last month. Well, I hand over on the 24th of April this year, and the school's on the doors to date. I've done 10 practice speeches at Toastmasters, including this one. 8 of them followed the Competent Communication Manual, and 9 speeches for real. I can honestly say, after all this practice and experience, that I absolutely loathe public speaking. I'm sorry that's such a negative thing to say at Toastmasters, but it's true. I haven't been able to find it in me to enjoy it yet. It's not the delivery of the speeches that's the problem for me, it's the nerves beforehand. I have terrible nerves. And I know nerves are a very common problem, and in fact I read an article recently by Sarah Brown, wife of a former Prime Minister Gordon Brown. And it was a very honest article she'd written. And she was someone that suddenly found herself thrust into the limelight when her husband became Prime Minister, and she ended up having to give speeches. And she was terrified at the thought. And she described her first ever speech where she gabbled through it as fast as she could. She couldn't wait to get to the end. Got to the end, took a huge sigh of relief, and then promptly fainted. How mortifying would that be? Of course, in the end, she was able to breathe through speeches with no difficulty because she had so much practice. So I can only conclude that the only way to get over nerves is to just keep giving speeches week after week until you just get so used to them that it's not a problem anymore. But obviously we don't all have that opportunity or in fact the time to do that. So the positives, so there are positives as well as negatives, are the skills and the confidence I've gained through coming to Toastmasters. And just a bit about my Toastmasters journey. I learnt from the icebreaker speech that rocking and clenching your fists is not a good look. That's what I did on my first speech. I also learnt about being more careful about how you use body language, and particularly my hands, which on one speech I accidentally was doing this, which is also not a good look. I very luckily was able to practice a speech here that I had to give as an after-dinner speech in Nice last October. And you were all brilliant, you gave me some great feedback. Alison, who's not here tonight, I think, she said put more dramatic words in, so I put in about waves crashing against the patio doors when we were hit by a cyclone where I was living. And I think Tony, you said cut the timing down, it's too long, so I did. And the advantage of that actually was I was able to add stuff back in on the day. Get me, I ad-libbed. Never ad-libbed before. I did some ad-libbing, and that worked well. And I think quite a few of you all said put more links between the examples I'd given, just to help it flow more. So all that feedback was great, and it helped polish up the speech into something quite good in the end. So thank you all for that. And I've also learned from all of your speeches, and one in particular I remember was one that I think Jeremy gave, where you talked about Usain Bolt, who doesn't try to get into the zone. Was that one that you said, Jeremy?
Can't remember, to be honest.
There's been so many. Anyway, Usain Bolt apparently, he doesn't do anything to try and get into the zone before a big race. He just walks around chatting, laughing with the audience, completely relaxed. And I thought, how great, what a good thing to do. So for my big speech, I tried it, I forced myself to go and chat to people and not go and hide in the toilets and practice my speech, which is what I really wanted to do. And it did work, it helped, it just helps relax. So the big one for me was last month on the 8th of February, and that was at the Pavilion in Bournemouth. I had to give a speech, an after-dinner speech, before 330 lawyers and their guests in a huge room with a microphone, which I've never used before, and a spotlight, so not at all intimidating. I would say my top tip is practice and practice in front of friends and family. I found that helped a lot, and just getting their feedback. And also on the day, I was lucky I was able to go early, practice with the microphone, with the sound engineer there giving me some tips on the equipment. And I could also run through the whole speech while all the catering staff were laying up the tables. So it kind of just gave me that familiarity with the surroundings and the equipment, and kind of took a lot of the fear away for me. So that was good. And thanks to Toastmasters, I was able to deliver a 20-minute speech without notes, and it was really good. It went really well, so I was really chuffed with that. It did come at a cost though. I have to say that I suffered for 6 whole weeks before giving that speech with sleepless nights, churning stomach, tension, headaches, all down to nerves, all self-inflicted and all so annoying. Couldn't seem to snap myself out of it, but luckily on the day it was fine. As they say, it's all right on the night. So I never thought I would have been capable of doing something like that, but I did. I did it. So thank you. I've got 2 more speeches to go. One on the 17th of March next week, again an after-dinner speech at the Hilton in Bournemouth, a black tie do, and that's before 145 lawyers. I'm afraid my head's very full of that one at the moment, hence not quite being able to learn this one, because I couldn't learn 2 speeches at the same time. And after that I've got a handover speech on the 24th of April, and then I'm free! I can slip back into blissful obscurity. So I would like to thank you all today for listening to me, for all the feedback you've given me. It's been absolutely invaluable, and all the tips and tricks I've learned through coming to Toastmasters. So I would like to wish you all the best with your own Toastmasters journey. I'm going to give public speaking a little rest for a while. But I've no doubt that the skills I've learned I will need again in the future, and as Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say, I'll be back.
Wow, that was a real swanny swan song. That was wonderful, really enjoyed that.
It's a really good speech.
So what we're going to do now, slightly unusual, slightly different than we normally do, we're going to break into groups of 3, so you can do it just on your table, or wherever you wish, but just into groups of 3, and we're going to have 6 minutes on the... We're going to have 6 minutes on the clock in a moment, and you're going to have 2 minutes to present to the... So if it was you 3, for example, Olga would have 2 minutes to present her evaluation of Carol's speech to John and... I've forgotten your names. We've already noted the 10 months, I do apologise. So you'd have 2 minutes to evaluate, and then you do the same, and then John would do the same. And then between this group and each individual group, you would then decide collectively which was the best evaluation, and then we'll get back into a group, and then I'm going to ask, by show of hands, can we have the winning people from each of the individual groups, and then we'll take it from there. So if we can start with getting into groups of 3, and we can have 6 minutes on the clock, please. Are we going to have a little ping or something at 2 minutes, just to inform people that 2 minutes is time for the next evaluator to speak, please, yeah? I don't know if you all heard that, but at 2 minutes, you'll hear the noise that sounds like this. You'll hear that noise, and that means it's time for the second evaluator, and then after the second evaluator, 2 minutes later, we'll go on to the third. So if you get into groups of 3, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
It can be a group of 3. Evaluation. Thank you. Please find it. I came back yesterday. That's
stressful? Was it stressful? What is now? Because you are boys, so you're really like the first thing. Whenever you're speaking, or whenever you put a stage, you have to struggle to do it.
I don't really struggle. I felt better today. I mean, I have to say, doing that speech was like that. And then once I'd done that, I thought nothing can be as bad as preparing for that.
Whenever you speak, there is this unique thing about you. It's so natural. So that since the memory is not there, talking to my kids. That is, it's not instructions, it just gives us how to, and how not to, and how to continue to improve. What is it doing?
I think it was very professional. Yeah. And then you were standing there with confidence, everything about your journey here, what you learned, you know, it's not done like you saw my eyes were, didn't you? And of course I was walking, it was just awful. So at least the way we learned, I know how to do it.
Yeah, actually, there's like resistance to continue to do something, you have to come and interact. Okay, yeah, so just before you make it, something like that. Yeah, but currently it's also.
I love it. And then when it came out, I've just come from this one. So we had the magazine there, which was a bit weird because it's like, not in there. And I said, oh, well, you know, your name's like that. He picked up the menu off the table. And he went, what's your name again? I wrote my name down. So the bowl was famous for punches at one station. So they and a couple of other things, and then a few other people on the table. So to people said about that. And he's probably done it. Of
course, and the thing is, the reputation succeeds you. So when you get to that level, I mean, you just do what you like.
Yeah, but I so much.
And one, you might find that for these speakers, whatever they're talking about now that you pay thousands for, they are speaking about things 100 times before. Yeah, so sometimes you actually prepare because you need to do what you've done before and you get to pay for it.
Yeah, well, I don't see that events where you get a guest speaker. They're all about anyway, well and he just talks about things that you can
maybe 20 or 30 minutes. Congratulations.
What kind of impressions? I like you know, politicians.
I mean, we must be so talented to be able to do impressions. Impressions are not easy.
Yeah, bearing in mind I've got 2 more speeches to do. No, I've got one on Friday.
Were you saying where you were and where you are?
Could you just put one minute on the top, please? That's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
You just have to
because it's slap on our face, boom.
everyone's attention. And we're going to take 1 minute, if that's okay. Just literally, in your same group, just have 1 minute, just discuss who you think was the strongest, or gave the strongest evaluation. Try and be kind of, what's the word, is it subjective or objective? Either. You can't be both, but that one. So if you can just go into groups of 3, and just decide which is the strongest evaluator, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I was surprised, actually, to use it. Usually, I've left
So, would the people... Oh, we didn't do it. So yeah, just decide between yourselves who's the best. So would the people that think that are being voted the best evaluated in their group, please put up your hands. Nice and high.
Yeah,
We had a tie.
That was so polite, guys. But we need a winner, Greg, if you can, please, if that's all right.
So we can have a time.
Yeah. Okay. So, but just while that's kind of festering and doing what it needs to do to pick a winner, if those people that have decided that they were the winner or chosen the winner, if they can just kind of bear that in mind, and then what's going to happen now? We're going to have the second speech, which is it's Raj rather, and the speech is called "Do They Know Something I Don't?" And it's going to be a 5 to 7 minute speech, so the same rules apply with the clock and everything else with the lights. And everyone's going to watch this speech, and then the evaluators that had their hands up 1 minute ago are going to leave the room, obviously together, but no kind of communication once they go beyond the room. I think Jeremy's actually going to go out with them, and then independently you're going to write your evaluation and then come and present to different groups, which we'll talk about when we come back. So if I can invite Raj to the stage, that will make sense. We can give that a big round of applause, please.
So a few weeks ago, I went to the DVD store to rent a DVD. Now I know what you're thinking, who goes to the DVD store anymore? But I really wanted this particular DVD. So I go to the front desk and I say, sorry, can I rent Batman Forever? They said, no, you can have it till Tuesday. My dad said there are 3 types of people in this world. Those who can count and those who can't. Okay, that's it for awful dad jokes. Okay, but there is a reason to it, so do bear with me. You see, when a better joke is told in a group situation, we can be influenced by the reactions of those around us. Prime example is in a pub. Let's say you and your friends are sat there having a drink, and one of you decides to tell a joke. Now, if you're anything like me, you get a bit excited because you want to hear the joke, but at the same time a little bit nervous. What if everyone gets it and you don't? What if you do get it and it's not funny? You don't want to embarrass anyone by not laughing, do you? It's always worse because they always seem to be staring at you, don't they, when they're telling this joke? And it's harder to hide your reactions. And all this is going through your head. Before you know it, punchline drops. Everyone's on their backs laughing, apart from you. But milliseconds later, you start laughing anyway. Even if you didn't get it. Be honest, can anyone relate to this in any shape or form? Good, it's not just me then. Okay, so there's two reasons I told those awful dad jokes. One, I love a good dad joke. And two, I wanted to identify a situation where social proof occurs. Because that's what I want to talk about tonight. So what is social proof? Well, as briefly touched on, social proof is where people assume the actions of others in an attempt to reflect the correct behavioural response for a given situation. Now, simply put, it's where we follow the herd on autopilot, because perhaps they know something that we don't, hence laughing at a joke just because everyone else is laughing. And this is exactly why TV shows sometimes use canned or fake laughter as a prompt to influence us. But it can also be found here at Toastmasters. You've noticed when we clap, one person starts, we almost automatically follow, we don't even think about it, do we? But why is it so important to understand social proof? Surely these autopilot, lemming-like instincts are harmless, given the situations they occur in. But it's also important to understand how powerful these innate reactions can be, and when it might be a good time to question them. For example, according to Robert Giordini and his book on influence, a prime example, or grave example of social proof, occurred in 1960s Manhattan, New York, where a woman was attacked on 3 separate occasions in a residential neighbourhood by the same man in the same night. And ultimately, she did lose her life. But the strangest thing about this particular murder, when the police done their investigation, was they found out there was a total of 32 witnesses, but no one phoned the police that night. Can you imagine? 32 people had seen or heard what had happened, but no one came forward. And when the police dug a little deeper as to why this might be the case, they found out that everyone thought the same thing. The witnesses were looking outside their windows with their lights on and saw the other witnesses looking out as well. And they came to one of two conclusions: that it was either a hoax or that someone else had dealt with it, because everyone was acting so calmly. And when you look at this example, it seems strange to believe that the social proof in this instance was so influential that no one acted in a frantic manner, no one called the police. And the power of social proof led all witnesses to believe that perhaps the other witnesses know something I don't, and that's why they're acting so calmly. Oddly enough, that's what everyone was thinking. You see, when social proof occurs in a situation, we tend to go back to our innate primal instincts, where it's better and safer to be in a herd and in the masses. And even in the present day, we'd rather be wrong together than look like the fool who's wrong on their own and step out from that herd. But had any one of the witnesses known the power of social proof and when it could occur, they may have been able to question their initial reactions. And in this instance, could have actually saved someone's life. So there you have it, two polar opposite examples of social proof: the reaction to a joke and the reaction to witnessing a murder. And there's many, many different situations in between, many of which can be used to influence us on a daily basis, which is exactly what marketers and advertisers do as a powerful tool. Now our job is just to recognise when social proof can occur, and when might be a good time to question the behaviour of those around us. Because you never know when your decision to follow the herd or the masses just might not be a laughing matter. So, man walks into a bar. I'm ready, this. Thank you.
Wow. So that's the speech that the, in fact, before we go there, can the people that in the group that got nominated to be the best evaluator, please stand up. Stella? Is everyone? Okay. So if those people can follow Jeremy, please. Jeremy will give you the kind of instructions to follow.
Number 9 speech.
Okay, I thought it was a number 9 speech. You were doing from the bottom. Oh, it's a farewell speech. Oh, boy. I braced my heart.
Just the man.
So the way this is going to go, they're going to go out for 5-6 minutes and do their own thing and write down an evaluation and then come back and present it into maybe 4 different groups, which we'll sort out in a moment. While that's happening, where is Phil? Oh, he's here. I was looking because you weren't there, you're not. So Phil's speech is called The Hero's Journey. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech. What level is Steve? Phil, rather?
This is speech 6.
This is speech 6. And he's going to come up, be amazing, and we're going to give him lots of rounds of applause as he does so. Welcome, Phil.
What is it that can make a story and a character compelling to its audience? What if I told you there were similar traits shared between characters as diverse as Odysseus in Homer's Odyssey, as King Arthur in the Knights of the Round Table, or Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker? What if I told you that there are ways to take the techniques that these heroes go on as they travel throughout their stories and use them to our own advantage in our own speeches? You might be thinking, well, how is it possible that these people can share these characteristics? Well, you need to start with the right subject. Somebody born in ordinary circumstances but with an extraordinary personality. You need to think of Harry Potter living in a cupboard under the stairs in Privet Drive. You need to think of Dorothy living with her aunt and uncle in the Kansas Dust Bowl. Or Luke Skywalker alone on the desert planet, knowing he's meant for something more. And what happens is, something from out of the ordinary comes across and pushes our character out of their comfort zone. Whether it's a robot landing with a message from a princess, whether it's a tornado that blows you to Oz, or a letter inviting you to a magical secondary school. And this call to adventure is something that our hero first of all has to resist, because they're honourable. It takes a lot to move them out of their situation. They don't want to be the hero, they just know that they have to do something to force into it. And at this point, they're still in their mundane, ordinary world, but they meet a mentor, they meet someone who can teach them the skills that they need to face this challenge. So, whether it's Obi-Wan Kenobi giving you your first lightsaber, whether it's being handed a magical ring and told you have to travel to Mordor, whether you get to pull the sword from the stone, something like that, something that pushes you from the ordinary world across the threshold into the extraordinary world. Now, you might be thinking, surely no stories slavishly follow everything, and that's right. Does Dorothy, when she travels to Oz, cross 2 thresholds? Is it the tornado, or when she sets on the yellow brick road? Does Harry Potter ever really consider staying at home and not travelling off to magical school? Well, you're right, everything follows it, but they all follow the same pattern. They all move from the ordinary world across to the magical, and they're forced into action. Now, on the way, they meet friends, they make enemies, they face tasks, they travel through haunted forests, or they make friends with Ron and Hermione, the rest of the Fellowship of the Ring, they meet Han Solo, all these examples, and they go through trials and tasks and come out on the other side a little bit wiser and a little bit more able to face the challenges in the future. And all of this builds and builds until they reach the very point of the story where they meet their antagonist and have to face their darkest fear, whether it's fighting down Darth Vader, who's just told you you're his son, whether you're having to face the evil Lord Voldemort in the castle, any of these things, you have to use all the skills you've learned in the toughest test you've faced to that point. And what you gain is the reward, whether you've rescued the princess, whether you've defeated the evil that's threatening your world, whether you've won a particular object, whether you've got the Holy Grail, or maybe it's just learning some skill or some talent that you can then take home and use in the rest of your life. And that's what happens. They make the journey back, they leave the magical world and they cross back over, to the Monday. But what's different is they've now got the skills that they didn't have before. They've got some abilities that is able to improve their original condition. Now, hopefully you've recognised that whilst we share this, you and the audience were the heroes of this story. You came from this side, a position of ignorance, and a mentor came and gave you this piece of knowledge and gave you the awareness that you can use this technique, understand these stories, and push your own characters into a more vivid and more meaningful place. And hopefully you can all go home tonight with that extra bit of knowledge, that reward from listening to this speech for the last few minutes. Take it back and use it in the rest of your speaking and the rest of your day-to-day lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. That was absolutely wonderful. Really, really enjoyed that. So what's going to happen? Olga, could you just go and let the people outside know we could do them coming back? That's okay, please. So Jeremy and his motley crew are going to come back in, and we're going to split into groups of 4. So what we've got in the room, just roughly speaking, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we're going to split into groups of either 4 or 5. Yes, 4 or 5. Yes, please. Yeah. Just 4 at a time, actually. Just 4 people need to come back in, 4 of the evaluators. Jeremy knows. Yeah. So 4 of the evaluators are going to come back in. We're going to split into groups of 4 or 5. So in total, we're going to have 4 groups. If we can kind of space it around a little bit, maybe use extra parts of the room rather than just seated so we can hear clearly. And then what's going to happen? Evaluator A, Greg, for example, is going to come and present to this group, and we're going to listen. And then the next evaluator, because I think there's 11 or 12 maybe in total, but each group is going to have 2 or 3 evaluators, one at a time, come and present to their group. The group then collectively, after listening to all the evaluators, or 2 or 3 evaluators, are going to collectively decide who is the best in their opinion. And that will give us a total of 4, as in 1 from each group, evaluators that are going to go through to the kind of final. It's like an FA Cup set up, like a knockout type thing. So I guess and hope that in a moment 4 people are going to appear. So we meanwhile want to split into 4 groups, however that looks. If we can kind of use the outsides of the room, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Oh, done. Congratulations. Yeah, well, you know what I'm going to say.
Joe, just a quick question. Is each evaluator, they've got 3 minutes, I believe, is that correct?
Yeah, they should. I need to confirm that. What happened?
It's a little bit fluid, this meeting, isn't it?
What happened? What happened? Well, you kind of, I mean, you know the way the meeting is going, kind of, feel with the speaker uncomfortable. Would that affect you, as it might have been? Yeah, but honestly, I love the content and everything. It's just I was expecting more, which you didn't. Yeah, it was 4 minutes and it was cutting to 5 minutes. Yeah, you did. But then, you're doing it alone with something, so I would encourage you to make that. Appreciate that.
If they can evaluate that one, that's the real test. Didn't even see it.
You're quite quietly spoken, very clear actually. I can always hear you really clearly, which is great. Your voice is very different, so I thought I love the topic.
Hello.
You want to join us?
I am.
You're the evaluator?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it just you?
I think we've all been split to one
come on after the other.
So yeah, I've been asked to. I think this is right anyway, just to present to you all. Okay. So Marc's speech had a very strong and interesting opening. It was a rather unusual first sentence, but it was very effective in gaining interest. Also, he used a story to link to tell a joke, and from that he linked that to go on to the main bulk and topic of his speech, which I think was an effective method of gaining everyone's attention